It's a lovely brooch.
Elephant?
Penance made it for me. Commemorate my mum. She ran with the 40 elephants back in the day.
The gang?
Also known as the Elephant Gang or the 40 Thieves, was a gang that operated in the Elephant and Castle areas of London from at least 1873 up until the 1950s. Possibly earlier, but there wasn't a whole lot of information to really find on this. What does this have to do with the Galanthi? Well, as far as the gang goes, not very much, but the brooch caught my attention, and I didn't think of it until after I wrote an article about the Galanthi for the fan site HBO The Nevers. We're going to swing back to that in a little bit. Hello, my name is Jason C. Marshall, and what I'm doing now is a video... commentary is not the right word. A complimentary piece to go along with an article that I wrote. As I'm still getting used to doing video, I apologize if my eye line changes because I'm not particularly good at memorizing lines, even though I wrote it all. So after watching the Nevers and browsing Reddit, fan sites, just various things I found online, one of the biggest questions that came up is, what are the Galanthi? Generally followed by, who are they? What do they want? What are their motives? At this point in the series, it's difficult to provide too many answers about the Galanthi, just due to limited screen time. They didn't even become a prominent fixture until, I want to say, episode 4, when they really started to use the name.
Mary is the voice of the
But that's part of the fun, and by design, because if you're building a mystery, you don't want to give it all away. And the Galanthi are the central mystery of the Nethers. They are the literal catalyst for the show. So to provide some answers, I'm going to jump the timeline a little bit back and forth and just look at what has been presented on screen and answer as many questions as possible. So first up, I'm going to focus on who and what the Galanthi are. We get the most information from episode 6. In it, we learn that 20 Galanthi came to Earth via portals.
Spatial anomaly, which means a portal, which is how the Galanthi came here.
But it's not until we're inside the project station that we kind of get a first look, and that's when Viner opens up the files in the lab, and we get a video log, and we get to see the Galanthi in its true form, or the form it's presenting to us.
Everyone appreciates the gravity of what this might be. Okay, almost everyone can appreciate the gravity.
And this is where the connection to Lucy's brooch came in, and I'm kind of embarrassed I didn't see it before, because when we see the Galanthi, they are definitely bipedal. 2 arms, a tail, and their face definitely resembles that of an elephant, although with 2 trunks. It's got a little bone-like thing on its forehead. I'd say like a unicorn, but it's flattened and elongated. And there appears to be some energy tendrils connecting it. It was hard to tell whether it was actually connected to the skull or not. Does the gang have anything to do with the Galanthi, the 40 elephants? No, but the elephant imagery, well, that's definitely a conscious choice by the art department. And I think it's just a way to connect elements of the story through production design. Hey there, it's me. I am currently editing this video. It's a day after recording it, and I just want to jump in and say foreshadowing. The word I couldn't think of yesterday is foreshadowing. And it's just, as I said, connecting one piece to another, and it's done exceedingly well on this show. Alright, back to the video. So, I'm not really sure how they communicate. There was no sign of a mouth. Of course, it could have been hidden by the trunks. Knitter does mention...
And the term is empathically enhanced. Spore is a little rude.
Galanthi rain spores on everyone. Make them all wise and adorable.
The spores are translators. They activate parts of the mind needed to comprehend Galanthi language and tech.
Obviously it's not expressly stated, maybe it will be. I would tend to believe that they communicate telepathically, either directly or once an individual has been enhanced. Physiologically, the Galanthi are quite unique. They're able to phase their bodies so they can pass through solid matter, and they can shapeshift. Now, the only example we've seen of this so far has been in episode 6. And of course, it turns itself into a ship that can travel through space and time. Taking along Stripe, and probably others. Jumping ahead to 1896. Time travel. Galanthi appears above London, releases its spores, and then disappears into a burst of light. That only Malady remembers, only to be found later underground in a chrysalis as it attempts to heal itself. The next question is, what do they want and what are their motives? Now, there's very little information on screen to fully tell us what the Galanthi's motivations are, but I'm going to take them at their word, that there's no ulterior motive. They are simply a benevolent species that arrived at Earth to help us after we had killed 5 billion people and seriously messed up the planet. But what about this particular Galanthi? See, I believe the plan was always to travel back to the past. I get this mostly from things that we saw in and around the lab, the sim strips, the Victorian artifacts, the keys that Knitter found by the picture of the scientist, and the butterflies. Now, from on screen, we know that there was a 5-member science team, and with the help of the Galanthi, they were going to go back in time to save the future. That's why there were so many sim strips, because they were training simulations so that the science team could acclimate themselves to the past. The plan, as I see it, was that the scientist's consciousness would be carried to the past and implanted in pre-selected, recently deceased people. Now, the Galanthi was always going to spore London, empathically enhancing those who did respond to the spores. I do believe that empathy is a big part of that, because I think that having empathy for the plight of others is the key to the betterment of humankind in the future. Anyway, regarding the spores, my feeling is that the Galanthi can program them. That's why, in the words of Lord Masson,
and not one man of stature afflicted.
The people who have turns tend to be primarily women, people of color, and the disenfranchised. History, from the perspective of the science team and the Galanthi, had proven that those with power didn't really look out for the best interests of the planet or humankind. By giving this group of people an edge, empathically, and an understanding of future technology, tiny ripples could be created in the timeline. The Galanthi-induced reboot is the butterfly effect in action, giving power to the powerless and watching the ripple effects it produces. As we continue to move forward through the timeline, those ripples will grow into waves, changing the course of human history and preventing the horrible future we all saw in episode 6. Why did the spores give people superpowers? We should get some answers, hopefully, in the second half of season 1. I have some thoughts of my own, and that is in an article over on the fan site HBO.thenevers.com. For those of you who are really invested in the show, I hope this answered some of your questions about the Galanthi, though it probably just created more. However, if you have different thoughts, feelings, theories, drop them in the comment section below, or hit me up on social, Twitter, Instagram. Anyway, I have some links below, probably a Chiron on the screen, so you'll have my ways to reach out to me. I tend to be more active on Instagram than Twitter, a little bit on Twitter. Alright, that's going to wrap up this video, so do all the things, especially subscribe so that more people can find these videos, and check back for more of my thoughts on the Nevers. I don't know what my posting schedule is going to be. Bye.